Thunder! 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 ThunderCats! Ho!
We interrupt this episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast, for a special message. So, dear Bunglers, it's Ryan. The episode you are about to hear, unfortunately, might sound a little distorted. I hate when this happens, but we bought new microphones, David and I. But of course, no one bungles it better than Ryan, and I had the microphone turned up to the highest amount. So I tried to do what I could with the audio. Please forgive us for this week's sound quality. Thank you so much for your understanding and enjoy today's episode. Welcome back, Bunglers, to another episode of ThunderCats Reviews, brought to you by the Radical Retro Rewind podcast. As always, I am your host, Radical Ryan Hunter, here with everyone's favorite brother and mine, David, for an all-new episode.
Hello, everybody.
So David and I have gone to the Snowman since our last episode, and we both got Blue Yeti microphones. I hope you can hear the difference in our voices, Bunglers.
I hope so, because I waited 10 stops to record this from the Amazon man.
Perfect timing, right in time for our recording. Let's get into our news, David.
Dun dun dun.
Fresh off Eternal Con, where we spoke about last month's episodes, Larry Kenney, Peter Newman, and Lynn Lipton were going to appear here on Long Island. This past Sunday, went there. I met our friend Bungler Zach. He came out to meet them as well. And wonderful for us ThunderCats fans, we are having Zach on officially in September. And we can't wait to pick his brain of all things ThunderCats and his knowledge. But David, Lynn Lipton, evidently, she was there Saturday, but she broke or injured her leg in between Saturday and Sunday. And I love David's message when I had messaged him at the con that, you know, Lynn had done something to her leg, and he's like, oh no, running. She what of all things, what perfect thing to take out Chitara.
Very like Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding.
Exactly how to take her out.
Chitara. I feel so bad. She's kind of an elusive one. She really doesn't do any kind of interviews. She really doesn't do a lot of public appearances. And so I'm just really upset. Like, I'm sure she was upset too, obviously, and she injured herself. But I really, really, really wanted to, you know, express to her, well, through you, obviously, I wasn't there, unfortunately, but express to her how much we really enjoy her work and how much joy she's given us over the years and how we're, you know, doing this podcast. I don't even know if she's aware of that. I hope we can find a way to just private message her and give her a get well, and we're so sorry that, you know, you missed her message. That would be really nice.
It's so true, David, because Lynn, I feel like, is that elusive one. I think Larry does do a lot more of these. Larry, of course, is the voice of Lion-O and Jackalman, and Peter Newman, actually, I think he does a few of them, too. That's the voice of Tigra, Bengali, whoever that is. You know, that might be a future ThunderCat named Bengali. So talented. We're going to get more into the story when Zach happens, but it was a thrill to meet them. Leading up to this, David, we mentioned in our last episode that we had a surprise for the Bunglers. This message from Larry himself. So this actually came about, David, prior to the convention. We had wanted to do this a while for the Bunglers, and we reached out to Larry, and we were able to get this message for our lovely listeners.
Hey, how are you? I'm Larry Kenney, the voice of Lion-O from ThunderCats, and here today for my good friends Ryan and David. You may know, if you listen to the podcast, Radical Retro Rewind. Radical Retro Rewind. Try saying that one 3 times. I can, because I'm a professional announcer. Anyway, Ryan and David tell me that they've got wonderful listeners to their podcast from all over the world who are big ThunderCats fans, as they are, and as I am. And I hope you are too. So anyway, keep listening to the podcast and watching ThunderCats wherever you can. It's on a lot of places, you know. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you all who are fans of the show. It's been a long time since we did it, and people still love it, and I love that. So for all of us, thank you very much. And, ThunderCats! Ho!
So that was super exciting. I was so excited to get that message. Ryan and I had talked about being that we're growing and being that we do have some connections and that we have done a few interviews and things with the upper echelon beyond our little podcast. We debated whether or not to reach out directly to him or do what Cameo. So if you don't know, Cameo is a site you can go to, and there are certain celebrities from different genres from all over the world that they will do like a little message for you.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Our point to this is, yes, it's Cameo, but we want to give the artist, the person, the money, because
exactly.
I'm sure they're not getting royalties from ThunderCats. I would imagine not. So the bottom line is we had potentially had the option of not going the route of Cameo, because I know people are like, well, the person doesn't really know you or know anything about you. You just did a cameo. But the bottom line is, like, for example, even with Ryan has did a cameo with Rose McGowan, and he has met Rose multitude of times and has even gotten autographs from her and talked to her about her book. So I don't think we even have to say this. I just felt it was important to not the message about, oh no, nobody, he doesn't know who we are and blah, blah, blah. It's more about the fact that I want to say that these older artists, voice actors, and people in the industry typically don't get kickbacks from anything. No. Because first of all, when you start a cartoon, you don't even know if it's going to be popular or not, especially back in the 80s, which was like the Mattel money machine, just putting out stuff to try to make a buck off and sell toys. So I don't think he's getting, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's getting any big royalties or kickbacks from it. So the point is, if you have the opportunity, do the cameo, because you're giving money directly to that actor, actress, artist.
And you know what's funny? At the con, and again, we'll get more into this when Zach came, but Larry and Peter did a combo, right? So if you bought the autograph that they had, which was about $50, you got a free selfie. I thought that was really nice as well, because a lot of times you end up at the conventions, you have to pay for the selfie and the autograph. So the fact that they were doing that alone, I thought was really sweet. Of course, I ended up paying for the professional photo too. Lynn was supposed to be in it, of course, as we mentioned, but yes, if you could support these artists, because David's right, I can't imagine that they're making too much money off ThunderCats at this point.
Yeah, they're getting the voice, like, because they were the voice of, and they can go to these little events or big, I don't know if they're big events, because our love of ThunderCats.
This was very low key. I have to say, it was a nice sized convention, but it is not like a New York Comic-Con or like a gigantic one by any means. So it was very low key,
which is perfectly fine. We're very perfectly
fine.
It can be completely wrong, but I just want to always support the artist. I want to give people, like, I hate when people pirate. Like, I get it. Like, the new Dragon Ball Z movie's coming out, and you want to see it so desperately, and you search the internet and find, like, one of those, like, someone recorded in a movie theater, and they're like, you can see people eating popcorn, picking their hair, laughing.
But they're getting those movies, David. They're getting good now. They kind of they must do it on a cell phone, but you can still tell it's in a theater.
I do believe that you are stealing from the artists. Like, people think, oh, it's a big Paramount Studios or whatever is making it. Screw them. But you are taking away from the artist as well. And that's even more, going back to our little shirt incident, someone stole Ryan's original artwork and was selling t-shirts with his artwork. That's not fair, and that's not right. So let me get off my soapbox. I just felt it was important to support them because they give us so much joy, and our podcast is flourishing because of them, because of their work. So I definitely, if you want to
beautifully said,
do something for somebody's birthday or something funny and quirky or something different, you don't have to be a podcaster. If you know somebody that's like, oh, I really love this actor, look it up. They may do something like a cameo.
But you're right, David. We went to Larry, and how amazing is it to hear someone like him saying Radical Retro Rewind podcast and things like that. It's a dream come true. And Bunglers, I'm sorry, get used to hearing this because I will be milking this cameo for all it's worth. You'll hear this quite a few times.
Well, I think it's great.
And the video, of course, will post on Instagram and things like that. But let's get into our Bungler mail before we get into our 2 main episodes.
My source tells me maybe your source.
She even looks older.
How dare you say that to me?
I didn't think Lion-O was like that.
I tell you it's true. The information comes from my best source. There's another thing. According to my source,
I did it for the money.
and I paid the money. Are you sure your source is on our side?
You got mail.
And keep your foot off that blasted Sommoflan.
So, of course, we had 2 amazing familiar faces pop up in our mailbag, David. Let's go with Mitesh. Greetings, my retro brothers. Okay, my fellow bunglers, now that we have all these exceptional episodes, I can truly say we are now in the end game countdown to the last 12 episodes of ThunderCats Season 1. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I know. It's gone quick.
And like Excalibur, in my opinion, they will be some absolute corkers, which is a UK term for excellent and astonishing. I love that, corkers.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Continuing with the good, not bad, and the ugly, which is something, yes, I want to call this episode the good, the bad, and the ugly. But it's the good and ugly. Good and ugly? Yes, good and ugly. We find out just how ignorant and discriminating our young lord is. One of the funniest parts of the episode is when the other adult T-Cats are returning from space and they start mapping the coordinates of the cat symbol. Just go home to Cats Lair. That's where the issue is always. They have a GPS? Please. The transfer is all about Panthro's rugby or American football skills when poor bungling mumm-ra literally gets tail slapped by Uncle Osbert and dropped the ball and falls like a bitch. Poor guy. And by the way, Panthro uses the word mummy like it's a... and he uses the term mummy like it's a racial slur to mumm-ra sounding wrong. You mummy.
I love that. That is so true. He says that a couple of times, too. I wrote that in my notes, actually. We'll go over that.
Mummy. There seems to be a theme with these 2 episodes. Hilarious. 2 great episodes for all us bunglers. Great action-packed episodes and more to come. Just to reiterate my comment on your extra ThunderCats update, our retro brothers are working even harder to give us all the variety of ThunderCats. I've said it before and I'll say it once more. Once the movie comes out, fingers crossed, there will only be one place to go for the world's hunger for T-Cats. Retro brothers ravishing Ryan-O and dashing Dave-Ra. Love, Mitesh and family.
Thank you so much. I love that. I'm excited about that, and I'm certainly excited if they do finally do the movie that people will come and listen to our podcast, because we want to reach as many people as possible and just have fun.
So here we go with lovely Leah, who, again, thank you for supplying the audio, not for only our ThunderCats episodes, but our main Radical Retro episodes throughout the month. We love you, Leah. Thank you so much for your support. She was so excited to hear about the surprise. So that was, of course, our cameo from Larry Kenney. Hello again, my favorite podcasters. What a pleasure it is for it to be the last Friday of the month again so soon. Let us begin. Excalibur. Let's not get started on the terrible mangling of the Arthurian legend and the sword in the stone. There were 2 swords, not one, which evidently we found out too. That wasn't...
Yes.
Excalibur, the sword in the stone, and the Killaburn, the sword given to King Arthur by the Lady of the Lake. No idea it had that name. The ancient spirits of evil, God help us with this plan. Again, what is up with Third Earth's geography? Good God. It was complicated just to sort out. Yay, you picked up that there are actually meant to be two swords. Ooh, we actually got something right. He wants to touch Lion-O's sword. Eggplant or sword? Pervert. It was an eggplant emoji, by the way. Mumm-ra, no matter the shape or form, is just a bungling ass. Gloves. Slaps Mumm-ra back with all of them. Do they do upskirt shots for Mumm-ra as Arthur? I really need to rewatch and check. The soundtrack is hysterical, though, especially sounds only. Lots of giggling over Ryan and David's weirdness. Yay for men in loincloths. Dar, anyone? Secrets of the Ice King. ThunderCats The Land Before Time edition. Line up your planets. The apocalypse now. Snow Meow. Fetch. ThunderCats. Snow Knight. Cats riding cats. Snow Knight. The Swiss Army knife of weirdness. Oh, this is hysterical. I said it's treachery out there instead of it's treacherous out there. She said it's treachery out there. You gotta love Ryan. All-terrain boots. Big-bottomed birds. What do you keep in the basement/dungeon of your castle? Hopefully not Mumm-ra or skulls. What a titanic battle! Yeah, and it all just eventually sunk. My favorite podcasters and the bungler is Leah didn't say. She's keeping the bungler quiet. I'm assuming it's Mumm-ra. I'll say it's Mumm-ra. We love your comments, your support. David, shall we get into our first episode of today?
Let's go for it.
Good and Ugly, episode 53 of season 1, with the original air date of December 4th of 1985. Thank you again to the ThunderCats Wikipedia for the synopsis and the non-trivia that they are now supplying with these other episodes. I don't know what happened, David, but all we get is synopsis now. No more trivia for us. No more. I don't know, whoever was writing these, these are, of course, are fans that take the time to, fill these things out. So in this episode, Kymera, a sleek and visually appealing starship pursues a Terator starship, an extremely ugly starship. Oh my God. They're saying this man's extremely ugly starship too? I didn't think it was that bad.
So what they're trying to say here is that one person pulled up in a Bentley and the other person pulled up in a Pinto that got rust that has rust spots all over it.
That's me. That's how I picked up Zach in my car. This convention and my
rust. You should have said, Zach, this is my
good and ugly.
This is my yeah, this is my New York City car.
You want to arrive in class? Come with Ryan. So we find out that it's 3 days left for Lion-O and Snarf to have Cats Lair all to themselves, because evidently all the other ThunderCats are in the feliner. And I say all the other ThunderCats because Wily Kit and Wily Cat again are not mentioned.
They're in the basement dungeon.
Clearly. Let me get it out right now. One of the things that drives me crazy always, David, are these episodes when Kit and Cat are just forgotten, because when the call comes, I always say, David, they are compelled. It doesn't matter if they're at the Burble Village. They would have run over to help Lion-O, right?
Yeah, I mean, that would make perfect sense. So maybe they were in the back.
They were part of a production at the Burble's Broadway show, and they could not get out in time. So we see that Lion-O is lounging again with Snarf. They're fishing. We see a rainbow. Almost looks like the source of the source of the water where that beautiful rainbowed Tamagar the Tuska lived, but it doesn't say that.
Hey, Snarf, this is the life. No sign of the mutants or Mumm-ra. The ThunderCats off cruising in the feliner, and we've got the whole lair to ourselves for 3 more days.
Lion-O! Quick, you'll lose it!
Uh-oh.
You have to concentrate! concentrate, Lion-O. Here, give it to me or we'll never catch anything.
Ah, come on, Snarf. Relax. What? I wonder what they are.
Fishing, laying around. I do love when Lion-O gets to have these relaxing moments because, of course, they're never long-lasting, are they, David?
No. I like the idea that he does try to enjoy himself a little bit. But this is, again, ties really into his being a child in a man's body thing.
So true.
I don't see the other Thundercats really relishing,
their free time?
Yeah, hanging out. I don't. Panther is always tinkering, making something, and Cheetara is always looking for the elusive gold pieces.
I was going to say, we know what she's up to. That's her hobby. Recreational drugs for Tigra.
Yeah, he's looking to score on the streets. He probably goes to the Black Pyramid to find Silky.
And Wily Kit and Wily Cat disappear. Weeks and episodes on end, and, good luck if they show up.
They're praying craps in the tent in their room, waiting for it to be assaulted in the night again, like that scary episode.
We can too. The Terator comes down, and let me tell you, I love this made-up language, David. This was the best Star Wars cantina language creature ever created, I think, especially for ThunderCat. It sounded to me like a real language was being spoken. I'm giving it maybe too much credit, but I was impressed at the fluid.
No, it was the tone of the way it was spoken.
It felt very natural, right? Oh, but like he was really talking this thing.
Alien Starship. Alien Starship. Cats Lair to Starship. Please identify yourself and state your business. Come in, Starship. Identify yourself.
Get rid of it, Lion-O!
We'll put a warning shot across its bow.
So he is described as having this terrible, ugly starship, and a matter of fact, what does Lion-O say? I swear he says something like this. Whatever you're selling, I'm not buying. Did he say that, David? Because he comes to the door, right?
Yes, because there's the initial approach of the ugly spaceship, and he's like, what's going on here? They're trying to communicate. They're getting back this foreign language, for lack of a better word, and they end up shooting from the Cats Lair a warning shot
against the brow of-
and then all of a sudden the spaceship uses its advanced technology and basically encapsulates the Cats Lair.
I am Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats. I command you to leave Cats Lair. Whatever you're selling, we don't want it. Sword of Omens.
So I have a note about that.
Yeah.
So I put better technology, and for the ThunderCats, I wish they could learn from some of these aliens that they always come in contact with. Because could you imagine every time mumm-ra or the mutants attack, they could put a shield up like that, how their thing was encapsulated? That was something I would be working on tirelessly. Besides making sure that I have enough fuel to run the Cats Lair, I would be tirelessly looking for ways to deflect attacks. Because how many times has the Cats Lair been attacked where it's been destroyed? Like, I know, and it would actually work out because there would definitely be those episodes where, like, the deflector shields are going down, you know, like, and we're sustaining energy, you know, it's like there's only 30% left on the shields or whatever, and that could totally be another part of an episode. So I wish ThunderCats would definitely learn from these aliens they come across. And the other thing I wrote down was Good and Ugly, a real story of don't judge a book by its cover. You know, that was one of the sayings that was definitely the 80s, like the big don't judge a book by its cover was plastered plastered everywhere. It was like Nancy Reagan saying, just say no to drugs. It was like, you know what I mean? It was like, that's what it was.
I'm sure we could even think of a He-Man or a She-Ra episode where there's some kind of, how about Peekaboo, right?
Peekaboo.
Like her, she was small one. She was weak as small one, but then she
transformed. Yeah, she became what she was meant to be. Like, there's so many. Gem always had and that makes you a superstar. Dun dun dun, Gem. And then He-Man would be always, in today's episode,
we watch Lion-O call someone ugly. Is that okay?
So there's that. I wrote down, like, it was really nice to see Lion-O fishing with Snarf.
And Snarf going, let me do it because you're going to let that go.
I only wish Snarf was away and I was sitting there with you, Lion-O.
I wish I only had 3 days left for you.
Fishing with you. Yes, fishing. Learning how to fish. I'm always afraid when they fish that something evil's going to come out, like the Black Widow shark.
I mean, honestly, you're right.
Like, do they really fish anywhere?
Not only just fish, but Lion-O loves the lounging. Like, he loves a good lounge by the water. Like, this is his thing, and I do love that.
He lays down under a tree. He lounges in the grass. He takes a nap on a field. Yeah.
Again, ticks. Various bugs in that fur, unless Snarf has to do a monkey thing at the end of the day and like pick the insects off of all the fur of the ThunderCats.
Oh my god, he's like a little monkey. We went down a weird path picking ticks off of
Lion-O's butt. Lion-O automatically assumes that the Terator starship is evil and attacks the starship. In retaliation, the Terator uses a laser rendering Lion-O immobile, blocking his attempts to signal the other ThunderCats. Even the Sword of Omens won't obey Lion-O. Snarf also is up in the air, and he's just like, Lion-O, help me! Lion-O's kind of like, I can't move myself, Snarf, so we're both screwed.
Lion-O, do something! I can't move, Snarf.
This is, again, where Lion-O showed poor judgment. But I have to say this. Snarf was the one who really... He's the one who really showed his true colors. And I have to say, I didn't like that. He was very judgmental. This thing is so ugly.
You ugly monstrosity, he calls him.
You know what? Here's the thing. We all know that if we were in a position where we were faced with something evil or you would whip out you're a monster, you're vile, whatever creature, this kind of a thing. But they didn't really know at that point.
That's so true. And Snarf is always ready to hurl an insult at somebody, right?
But is it because they're also used to Third Earth being so inhospitable that immediately they assume that things are always out to get them because they typically are?
Well, honestly, that is true. Of course, though, the Terator tells Lion-O that he attacked him first, which is true. Which is another thing of like, okay, you attacked me because you found me ugly. But how true is this, what the alien creature does say? And I thought of this. If we went to Mars right now and we saw the creatures there and they looked completely different from us, we would automatically judge them. So this is honestly so true. This is, again, the Beauty and the Beast. Just because you're ugly, quote unquote, you're not evil.
But that definitely is typically played up in our society, in our world.
Oh, 1,000%.
The pure girl is always the white girl with blonde hair, like purity, and she's and running through the field. And then the bad evil witch has always got dark hair, and she's, whatever. Yeah, she's mean, she's terrible. Or, I don't know, when Disney makes all the bad characters gay, like Jafar.
It's so funny. A matter of fact, Zach, our bungler, found this. In one of our episodes, we were talking, you mentioned that. You're like, why do we always have to be the enemy? Like the Gnome King in Return to Oz. And stupid me said, I thought you said, I'm not your father. And I play a clip of Darth Vader going, Luke, I am your father. Meanwhile, Zach goes, I think David said, I'm not Jafar. I was like, oh, that makes more sense.
Help me! Get me down! I can't!
Why did you attack me?
Why?
Why do you think? Look what you've done to us.
I did not harm you. It was you who attacked me. I am not your enemy.
Huh! You look pretty hostile to me.
What are you doing here anyway, you ugly monstrosity?
Me? Ugly? You are a fine one to talk, strange creature.
Who are you?
I am a Terator, one of few survivors of my kind.
What are you doing here?
Our home has virtually been destroyed by our mortal enemies, the Kymera. I escaped their last invasion, and ever since then, I have been searching the galaxies for survivors of my kind. I was on the edge of your atmosphere when I was ambushed by the Kymera leader.
Killamar craft returns to...
It's not a Killamar.
Kalamar? Kymar?
Chimera.
Chimera. The Kymera craft reappears and the Terator starship is shot down. The Kymera craft returns to the lair, and the Kymera explains to Lion-O that the Terators are his enemy and that he is searching the galaxies for surviving of the latest Terator raids on this planet. Now, this is something that the creature, the ugly creature, quote unquote, told Lion-O as well. And this craft comes down, David, and it's shiny and fancy. And I suppose they're trying to say that, you know, this robotic looking thing was more peaceful and it spoke, you know, pleasant, and it's more peaceful for the eyes. But I could tell right away he was evil with those crab hands.
Thank Jaga, we're rid of that whatever it was.
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? It had us beaten. I thought it was the end.
Yes, but it was right, Snarf. It didn't attack us. I attacked it.
Oh, what does it matter, Lion-O? Just be glad it's gone.
I found it very interesting. Okay, so I found it very interesting that they were going to use the comparison of this sort of like the Kymera had on white and it was very shiny, but it was still very unappealing. It was like you were looking at it like, do you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
we wouldn't have been enticed by his shiny pyramid. I mean, his shiny.
But they do that honestly. Even in court, they always have these people. They wear white because white projects purity. They always make them wear white to make them like as part of a tool to make the person look more innocent and stuff like that. So there is something to be said. His ship was very light. It was very airy. His outfit was very light and airy. It made him appear to be more subdued, more pleasant, I guess, to look at.
So you mean they gave him the Jody Arias treatment of put some glasses on and you won't look like a killer either in court. Put these glasses on. If you have glasses on, that means you're smart and you're mousy. So that's what this alien needed to do. Not only just be gold, but put some glasses on. That will.
Well, maybe Chitara would have liked him.
Oh, you're right. How much is? Can we destroy that ship?
Welcome to Third Earth.
Thank you. Who are you?
Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats.
Well, Lion-O, Lord of the ThunderCats, that, I think, is the last you'll see of the Terator.
But who are you, and why did you attack him?
Terators are my sworn enemies. As to who I am a Kymera, and I'm searching the galaxies for others of my kind who have survived the latest Terator raids on our planet.
That's what the Terator said. Except that he claimed it was you who attacked him.
Never trust a Terator, Lion-O. You have only to look at them to know they are vicious and evil.
He didn't try to harm us. What's so funny?
So, David, honestly, we didn't have to worry about this plot for too long because literally it goes right into...
So here's the thing. After the Kymera gave the same story as the Terator, Lion-O said, that's the same thing he told us, and he kind of stepped back and he was like, you're lying.
Yes.
And then he was like, ha, 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 did that, like, twist real easily.
What is it with these enemies? Like, do we not need that build-up, or are they just too cocky that they don't even care? Like, is that what we're supposed to be getting? Like, that's all it took was him questioning, like, wait, he didn't attack us. He didn't seem too bad. And he just showed his hands like that.
Well, look what he did. He took over the Cats, then he takes over Cats Lair without Lion-O even having the ability to do anything.
Which we have to mention, and I'm going to play this for David. There is a famous ThunderCats blooper that comes from this very segment.
I should have known the Terator didn't mean us any harm when the Sword of Omens didn't obey me. And anyway, it was just plain stupid to assume it might be bad. Just what the am I talking about?
So I recognize that right away with him saying, just because the Terator is...
I know, I did too, because I've heard that clip before, and I was like, this sounds familiar. Is he going to mess it up, or it's going to be very wordy when he says this next sentence?
Was wordy. You're right, David. It was like a lot. And just because the Terator looked bad, then it doesn't mean it's...
It was still good, but even though it looked bad, and I couldn't understand why when I looked at it, it looked so bad, but yet it was still so good, blah, blah, blah.
So, I mean, you gotta give it to Larry and the voice actors for selling things like this when you literally have to exposition dump. I only thought it was bad because it was ugly, and if it's ugly, it doesn't mean that it's bad.
I'm sorry, Snarf. This is my fault. The Terator was so ugly, I just assumed it must be hostile. And then the Kymera seemed so gentle and peaceful.
It wasn't your fault, Lion-O.
Yes, it was. Aside from anything else, I should have known the Terator didn't mean us any harm when the Sword of Omens didn't obey me. And anyway, it was just plain stupid to assume it must be bad just because it was ugly.
Well, it certainly had me fooled. Snarf, snarf.
Maybe we can find a way of getting that thing out of our home by taking a look at its home.
So yeah, this happened. But honestly, I hated that this alien was able to take on the Sword of Omens, even towards the end, if it wasn't for the claw shield reflecting back, which to me was an odd choice. I mean, yes, again, it takes the Sword of Omens out for a little while.
But is that user, couldn't he have just said ho and power could have come out, or was it the eye was blocked because it was already hitting the eye of the beam?
Oh, see, you're smart, David. And then we did also have this, I can't not mention this, Lion-O gets really angry at one point. Did you when he says, I'm getting mad now, Snarf. We're always 2 steps behind these things. And he was just like trying to attack the starship. I thought that was very funny.
I'm losing patience, Snarf. We're always a step behind these things. Ho!
Who you calling a thing? Another comment.
You're right, things. Mummy.
So would Panthro and Lion-O be canceled? Would it be part of cancel culture for mummies? Would archaeologists and historians go after Panthro for using the word mummy in a derogatory way, as Mitesh said? Because he does. It's almost like he's like, you effing mummy. It is funny the way they use these certain things.
God help us.
You filthy mummy.
I wanted him to slap mumm-ra too. That would have been good. And when he transformed back into the mummy form, just wait, we'll definitely get into that episode. Lion-O summons the other ThunderCats with the sword, and they pursue the craft in the feliner.
I can't let it escape. Who knows what damage it'll do? Thunder! 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 ThunderCats!
Lion-O, he's in trouble.
Let's go.
Give me a course.
Steer 179er.
Trajectory.
Decimal 32.002.
Emergency boost.
You got it, Chitara. Full burn.
ThunderCats are on the move. ThunderCats are loose.
This is my favorite part of this episode, if I had to pick one. Tigra goes, it looks like these people are giving Lion-O a hard time. And Chitara automatically... the next word out of Chitara's mouth is, open fire!
What is that thing?
Whatever it is, it's giving Lion-O a hard time.
Prepare to open fire. Fire!
Okay, so there again, we know Chitara is right for her lord. Open fire, not even questioning.
Well, she's quick.
Open fire.
Like, one of the things I always hate about shows and cartoons, and we've talked about this, like I hate the formula, like, guy likes girl, a girl likes guy, and it gets stretched out, and then they end up liking somebody else, and blah, blah, blah. Say what you mean and mean what you say, and do it in a time. I know it's obviously to extend a show, but, like, Chitara's, like, on point. She's like, all right, we know this is going down. I'm not going to sit here and go, let me press the buttons, and then the button will make the blaster come out, and then the blaster will shoot the enemy. Just do it already. It was like in Van Helsing, when you remember the part in Van Helsing when the vampire's talking to, oh god, what's her name? Kate Beckinsale? Yeah. And she's like, I'm gonna kill you, and I'm gonna do this to you, and she stabs, she goes, if you're gonna kill somebody, then just do it. Don't talk about it.
Right. Why are you giving people time to set
I don't want to hear your inner dialogue. I mean, it worked out for her benefit because she killed the vampire, but, like, she's like, if you're gonna kill somebody, then just do it already.
Literally, open fire. Fire was her next word right after open fire. You're right, Chitara is not waiting. That's why we always speak her name on this podcast. So after they open fire, Lion-O destroys the Kymera craft with the Sword of Omens. I mean, I picture it, because we never see what happens to him. I picture the Sword of Omens literally going through his head, out the back of the...
Oh, when he got the Sword of Omens and threw it, and it got bigger, and it sliced through the whole spaceship. Oh, something you should mention, I wanted to mention, I don't remember seeing this very often. When he wanted to open the door when the Kymera was inside Cats Lair shooting, he went, ho, and the ThunderCats symbol came out of the sword and opened the door, the Cats Lair door.
I think they wanted to make a playset feature, probably, because I'm getting Castle Grayskull, you gotta put the He-Man sword into the lock to open the front door. I'm thinking that they wanted Lion-O to go, ho, open the front.
Oh, that new Castle Grayskull playset is in my home, isn't it? I could be playing with it right now. Would you even know? Let me see. Sorceress. I'm using my mumm-ra here. Sorceress, open up the gates of Castle Grayskull.
And we always mention that the sorceress, all it takes is one good attack and she's already, I can't hold it, He-Man. So anyway.
He-Man! Get He-Man! You know what? Don't even get into started with it, because I would have taken all the powers of Castle Grayskull and wiped out Snake Mountain.
Already, right?
Well, you know that episode when She-Ra says, all the power of Eternia, come to She-Ra!
Bunglers, we're bungling it again ourselves. The Terator starship is saved, and everything works out, but I said, why didn't they contact Mandora? I felt like this was a perfect opportunity.
So I want to ask you something. Did the Kymera die?
I think Lion-O killed him.
Because you never, we kind of went off on one of our usual tangents. The bottom line is, between Lion-O and the Terator, the Kymera ship went down. Like, the Terator did engage again with the Kymera. He didn't crash and blow up. He just was... he got his ship back and he aided Lion-O.
Yes.
So together they did it. They have a kind of a reconciliation. They're talking about things very quickly, and he says, thank you for getting rid of the leader of the Kymeras, because now I can in peace search for other Terators that may have survived or in different places. And they all say ho, they all there's no big conversation. He just leaves. They don't ask him to stay, or
they don't give him the spiel of, we're the ThunderCats and we fight for truth, honor, loyalty.
And of course, Snarf at the very end has to throw in a snarky comment. Ooh, thank God he's rounding them all up. All those ugly things and putting them on one place.
Yeah, he had to do it again. You're right. I think it's because he's always put down, David, that he's starting to put other people down.
He's bitter. Yeah.
So what does Panthro say? He sums it up. He's like, to sum it up, he was good and ugly. Right?
Thunder, cats.
We owe you more than we can say, Terator.
On the contrary, Lion-O, it is I who owe you. You have helped me destroy the leader of my people's mortal enemy. Now I can continue my search for Terator survivors and take them back to our beloved home. Maybe then we can live in peace.
Well, about my trying to shoot you,
No harm done. My sudden appearance must have alarmed you. But strange and frightening as I seem to you, so you appeared peculiar to me, and I did not know whether you would be hostile or friendly. I have many galaxies to cross, so farewell, ThunderCats.
Ho!
Imagine thousands of things like him roaming around space. Thank Jaga he's going to round them all up and take them home.
I admit he looked pretty terrible, Snarf, but he did fight on our side.
I don't care. He gave me the creeps. Snarf, snarf. I've never seen anything that ugly.
Just be thankful he was basically good.
Good and ugly. That just about sums him up.
Thunder, 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 ThunderCats!
That ship didn't blow up, and if the thing was killed, wouldn't you start trying to piece that out for possible technology?
Exactly. Jackalman's Rebellion. They should have did that again. I saved this cannon from this ship. Yeah, so I assume that the starship, it was destroyed. That's why I said maybe Mandora could have at least been mentioned, like, oh, and Mandora, we contacted her and she's going to help you on your quest. But, you know, that's too many name drops for one episode. So, of course, what was the moral of this story, David? Don't
judge a book by its cover, you know? And that is so true that we do make judgments on people based on their weight, their looks, their religion, the color of their skin. You know, people do those things. So it's an important life lesson to learn very early on.
Yes.
Because there's so much meanness in the world, and we don't need that. Like, listen, we're all different. We're all shapes and sizes. We all go through things. We all have physical scars and emotional and mental scars from what we've been through and the struggles of life. So why put somebody else down just because they're a little different than you? Or, you know, and that's what I honestly, like, all of these life lessons that we learned as kids, I try to teach my children. We're not perfect human beings. We never will be. But these are simple things that made a big impact. Again, and I've said this numerous times on different episodes of the podcast. This is the reason why we go back to these cartoons. Yes, they were entertaining. Yes, they excited our imagination, but we feel like these ones were still wholesome. And they actually had something to say, whether it's considered stupid and cheesy and outdated and antiquated now by today's standards. It doesn't matter to us, because this conversation that we're having is because it touched us in a way and it taught us something.
And you know what's funny now? And we never get too deep on this show. Of course, we don't want to get political by any means, but it does seem like cartoons nowadays, when they do want to send a message like this, they kind of do it very harshly, and they almost put the other people who feel differently down. I can't describe it. I don't think they do it as subtly anymore, and I think they kind of do it almost with anger, you know, in a lot of ways. So something like this that is literally, we could show an alien, and just because it looks a little ugly, you know, I think this is a great way to do a message like this.
Well, that's true. The other thing is, to your point, is that when it seems like when newer cartoons or movies are trying to say something, for whatever reason it is, and it's always like
beat you over the head.
The end of this episode, Lion-O did kind of have to eat crow and say, "I'm sorry that I did this," but the Terator?
Yes,
Terator didn't say, "Oh, well, yeah, you did this and you're a horrible person and how could you do this and you're this." It's like, they weren't berated. It was like, okay. I even thanked him for helping him with the Kymera. So it's like he understood that it wasn't right to judge him by his appearance, but he also didn't make it a bigger thing than it had to be. Lion-O proved that he learned his lesson. He ate crow, he swallowed his pride and apologized. And that, to me, is what I want from my children. I don't want want to belittle them to teach them a lesson. And that's what I think you're trying to say. It's like a belittlement of, and if you don't think this way, then you are the worst person in the world. Yes. I'm not saying that I agree with everybody's things, but I'm willing to like I always say, there's room at the table for everybody. You just have to surround yourself with the people that are like-minded, and you also have to be understanding that not everyone shares your views.
Yeah,
I do agree that I don't agree with hate of any kind or things of that nature. But you know what? Some people think the sky is aqua. Some people think the sky is navy blue. Like, listen, it's still a form of blue. So I'm not going to fight over that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's stupid. People want to have an argument online. I mean, I post things like beautiful things that I feel like, oh, this is so amazing, and people will destroy you. Like,
well, Bunglers, it sounds like you can't please everyone, but I hope our next episode pleases you.
ThunderCats. New ThunderCats lightning sabers with energy-packed light beam. New ThunderCats lightning sabers. On target, the non-visible light beam scores. New ThunderCats lightning sabers make all ThunderCats more exciting than ever before. Batteries not included. Energy pack and figures each sold separately. It's a grand toy.
David, this is The Transfer, episode 54 of season 1, with the original air date of December 5th of 1985. Yet again, a starship with a radioactive spear is on a collision course for Third Earth. And David, this is literally the same ship from the episode prior.
Well, what can I say?
I'll go a step further. I mean, again, I know when they did these episodes, they're not thinking that 37 years later, people are going to binge watch these back to back. But it's so funny ending that episode, seeing that starship, and then picking up, and I'm like, wait. I'm like, are we in a continuation? I got another question for you. Isn't that Neptune, that ball in that ship, wasn't that Neptune from the black hole as well? That sphere? It just doesn't talk this time.
I don't know, maybe, but it was giving me Black Pearl vibes from Thunder the Barbarian.
The Black Pearl.
The Black Pearl.
That's right. It did look Black Pearl-ish. So, if this spaceship crashes with the radioactive spear, Third Earth will be destroyed. And guess what? Our favorite mummy is back, David.
I got lots of notes on that. The episode's called The Transfer, right?
I didn't like that title, but yes.
We open up to mumm-ra roaring. He's like, ah! And he says, who dares disturb mumm-ra's eternal rest? And then he goes on to say, my ancient instincts tell me something evil is approaching, and I will use this to my advantage.
Of course, alert. Of course, alert. To disturb mumm-ra's eternal rest. My ancient instincts tell me something evil approaches. I will find some way to turn this to my advantage.
I will find a way to use this to my advantage.
While this is happening, simultaneously, mumm-ra is also watching the ThunderCats, and they're watching the ship approach. And they also share the same sentiment. If it crashes, it will destroy all of Third Earth because it's got a tremendous amount of radiation.
This is Panthro and Lion-O in the Feliner.
Whatever that thing is carrying, Panthro, it has triggered all our alarm systems.
Its radioactivity levels are way off the scale.
If it crashes on Third Earth, everything will be destroyed.
No, ThunderCats! There is one creature on Third Earth who will survive! Mumm-ra! The ever-living!
There's only one thing to do, Lion-O.
Tow it in with the Feliner and neutralize it.
You got it.
Let's go.
And then mumm-ra, they say, he's watching them, and they say, the ThunderCats say, not one creature on Third Earth will survive. And mumm-ra is like, oh, wait, no, there is one. It is me. Me.
The ever-living, the immortal, the one and only mumm-ra. So I love this. He goes right to the mutants. And since when does this start now that the mutants are bartering with mumm-ra? Did you notice this? It's not just like, we're going to do it now anymore. It's like, well, what are you going to give us, mumm-ra? What are you going to do for us?
So here's the funny thing. So now you have Slive and Vulture-Man also watching this event, and they're discussing how to use it to kill the ThunderCats. And mumm-ra comes in and, of course, has to blow up that kitchen table that he always gets destroyed for whatever reason. They must just have a couple of spares in the back. Every time it's like
fools. You Plundarian.
It's like he's got to blow up a table to come in. He has to be the showman.
He made an entrance again, of course. That's right, because I heard you were talking, but this is even more important. I am here, mumm-ra.
And you're right, they do try to like barter with him or haggle him, and Jackalman even steps to mumm-ra, which is surprising to me.
The time has come for me to throw a wrench in the ThunderCats' works. Whoever controls that ship controls Third Earth. Correct, Slide. Mumm-ra! The ThunderCats know about that spaceship and its deadly cargo. Mutants! They intend to bring it back and neutralize it.
We can't let that happen. We want it for ourselves.
So do I, Jackalman. Maybe we can work together, mumm-ra. Yes?
If we can help you get it, what will you give us in return,
When we have that spaceship, we will be able to destroy the ThunderCats forever. Then we will rule Third Earth together. Mumm-ra and the mutants.
The mutants and mumm-ra.
Well, whatever you say, Jackalman. Whatever you say.
Jackalman lately has been showing a lot of spine or stupidity. I guess we can get into that, but yeah. Jackalman, yes. What do we see, David? The mutants accept the bargain, and then we see mumm-ra is outside Cats Lair, him and Slive, and I love the he goes, transform day into stormy night. So this is a newish power that we've seen him. He commands the weather. He knows someone in weather.
Look, mumm-ra! They're already preparing the feeliner for takeoff!
Superheat liftoff generator.
Superheating. 1,000 degrees and climbing.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform day into stormy night!
Prepare for blast off.
What was that?
That should give your friend Jackalman his chance to get on board the feeliner. Slide.
Well, I love a rainy night. I love a rainy night.
He does. And the rainy night we get, David, is this art, which I love. I mean, you could say it was devoid of color, but every time the lightning would crash, it would go black and white on mumm-ra.
I thought that was really cool. I thought that was pretty cool. At first I was like, huh? And then I'm like, is it that dark? And then I see the flashing and color comes back. So I thought that was really cool.
I think they did do it a little too long in some sections that it did look like it just was black and white, but it was a cool, a cool
the idea,
clash of color. Concept. So Jackalman secretly boards the feeliner. So the thunder and the storm distracts Lion-O and Panthro so Jackalman can get his butt on board the feliner without them noticing.
And then the funny part is Mumm-ra and Slythe are again in that ever popular spot, right past the clearing where the trees start to watch Cats Lair, and they're talking smack about Jackalman. They're like, Mumm-ra's like, are you sure he can do this? And basically he's putting him down. And Slythe says Jackalman may be a cowardly dog, but he's cunning.
And did we forget that we sent him into the air ducts a few episodes ago? And he had to go, oh, I can do it. I can get in that room.
He's doing his affirmations. I'm good enough. I'm strong enough. And gosh darn it, people like me.
He's been watching some self-help videos, and he's convinced himself that today is the day again.
I just love that. Okay, to be honest with you, when I've been a manager before, there have been workers that I've said to myself, they're not going to do this.
Of course.
They can't do this, and they're going to mess it up. And lo and behold, they did, because I knew them. I knew what they were capable and not capable of, and I tried not to steer them in that direction, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. Mumm-ra, again, this dialogue that always comes, they're always putting each other down. And this leads to a very interesting comment that is made later on.
Are you sure Jackalman's up to this job, Slythe? Yes. I'm sure, Mumm-ra, he may be a cowardly dog, but he's cunning. I hope you're right. For your sake, Slythe.
Prepare for final approach. Activate tow beam.
Tow beam activated.
Here's my chance to grab what I came for.
Spacecraft secure. Block re-entry course.
Re-entry approach, Zebra Delta 7.
Let's get home fast and neutralize this thing.
I'm getting closer. That's it. Jackalman's nowhere in sight. I hold you responsible. No, Mumm-ra, look! Up here, Jackalman! Bring it here! Silence, fool! Do you want to alert the ThunderCats?
So as Lion-O and Panthro intercept the spaceship, Jackalman steals the radioactive sphere. I kept saying, though, David, if this is so radioactive, how is everyone just holding it, running with it, touching it? I'm assuming, yes, it's concealed inside of this black sphere, but again, it's just a cartoon. But that was one of my thoughts.
Well, I thought about that too. It's like if Jackalman was running into a nuclear reactor.
Jackalman steals the radioactive sphere. He later ignores the deal he has made with Mumm-ra and the other mutants and makes it off with himself. So we do get him going, me, mighty Jackalman, as he screams away. And I keep saying, why not General Jackalman with boots with the fur? He's got the outfit ready to go again. My star, my boots with the fur.
All the third Earth was looking at her. He hit the floor. Next thing you know, Jackalman got low.
Me, Jackalman. It's like so crazy as he ran away.
Something's wrong. The hatch is open.
That's not all. Look, Jackalman.
Come on.
He's He's making off with the device for himself.
Now I have the power to destroy Third Earth, and that means that Third Earth answers to me, Mighty Jackalman!
Blasted mutant! All he cares about is himself.
If we don't catch Jackalman and neutralize that reactor soon, we'll all be finished. Come on.
But I also forgot to mention this. Mumm-ra screams at Slythe and says, "Silent fool, do you want them to hear you?" while he's trying to board this.
And he puts his hand over his mouth. Ugh, that mummy hand on my mouth.
That's what I was going to say. He's screaming. He's literally screaming it out to Slythe to shut up. And then he puts the mummy hand on his mouth. There we go. There is an odd shot in Castle Plundar that, did you notice that it's like red for a moment?
Yeah, there was something. And I also said, I wasn't sure if it was in the last episode.
Yeah, oh God, the art.
There was a degradation area, and then there was an interesting picture of Lino who looked really cute.
I actually did write that too. There was a close-up of Lino that did look great, but I will say the good and ugly art, it must have been one of those outsourcing days because there was some ugly-looking Snarf and Lino action shots. They all can't be winners, right? But anyway.
There he is!
Stay back!
You can't handle that reactor by yourself. It's lethal.
I'll handle it with mumm-ra. Then mumm-ra and I will rule all of Third Earth.
He's getting away! We have to do something! You've been double-crossed, mutant. I'll handle this myself.
The enraged mumm-ra seizes Jackalman and takes him to his pyramid. So Jackalman did have he was talking to himself and kind of saying that if I team up with mumm-ra, I can rule Third Earth together, right? So he doesn't even get the chance to say this. Mumm-ra swoops in and takes him, and he's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna do this together, Jackalman. Yes. Anything you want. Yes. Oh."
What are you doing, mumm-ra?
Making sure we share our new power, mutant.
I'll give you odds where they're headed.
Mumm-ra's pyramid.
He did it so romantic. He just kind of swooped in and grabbed him by his arms and fetched him off. So
were you thinking they were going to make some pottery on a pottery wheel
exactly.
too?
If it wasn't Ghost,
a la Swayze and Demi Moore,
his arms around him. Yes, around the sphere. They all know where they're headed. Then at this point, the ThunderCats. Well, we know where they're headed, and sure enough, they're headed to the Black Pyramid.
So again, this reminded me of. Do you remember that show on TV? I don't know if they do it anymore. The Incredible Race or something like that, where people and you have people. Or there was a movie that Whoopi Goldberg had done too.
Race,
she was
wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. It was so funny. People were doing these ridiculous
right?
things. Yeah. So you have Vultureman and Slythe in his
flying machine. The flying machine.
She's like, "Well, got him in the flying machine." You got the Thunder Tank going.
What's going on? Where's Jackalman?
That cursed Jackalman has double-crossed us. He and mumm-ra have got the alien reactor, and they're heading for the pyramid.
We'll head them off in my flying machine.
We'll never get to the pyramid in time.
You got mumm-ra flying in. He says to Jackalman, "Give me the sphere." And Jackalman's like scared, and it's like this is where his cowardice comes in.
And he had right to be afraid, honestly.
I would have said, "Yeah, hit me, mumm-ra." And when you break the sphere, what's going to happen? The whole place is going to go down.
You think you should have said, "If you do this, mumm-ra, we're all going down," and like kind of throw the ball down.
me that thing, you wretched mutant.
What about our deal, mumm-ra? To rule Third Earth together.
Deal? We have no deal. I don't need you. I just need this. With this, I can destroy everything and anything. Then I alone will rule this miserable planet.
One day, mumm-ra. One day.
There goes Jackalman.
Without the reactor.
That means mumm-ra's got it.
Then we'd better get it back. ThunderCats! Ho!
Here's the thing, and I don't remember what part. Maybe it was earlier when he had said the one person that will survive. No, I think it was at the pyramid. His actual disdain for Third Earth in general.
Yeah, he actually hates the location too, you're right.
He hates Third Earth. He is like, I could care less, then I'll be at peace. So maybe he does have those deep-seated wounds. Maybe he needs the Queer Eye guys to come and help him do a makeover. He's miserable.
Today, we're teaching mumm-ra how to cook candy fruit for his upcoming date with Tigra.
Third Earth is mine. Nothing you can do will change that, ThunderCats.
The Black Pyramid. There is something about today particularly. I love it. It was like a blue, purplish hue as well as the black. And it was giving me all these like gorgeous colors, David. Not just to mention the sky around the Black Pyramid is always like green and red and it always looked treacherous. But the Black Pyramid had this... It was like a cool, like, purplish blue hue. I mean, this is what got me. Why does mumm-ra climb up like King Kong? There was no reason for him to climb the Black Pyramid. He gets to the Black Pyramid, he's just like, oh, like, let me climb it as slow as possible when I can fly.
So I wrote, why is mumm-ra climbing the Black Pyramid like a character in an 80s slasher film crawling away from Jason?
You're right. Like the slowest you've ever seen. Like he was dead. He really was dead and stabbed repeatedly.
So at this point, mumm-ra is fighting off the ThunderCats. He's fighting off the mutants. He's shooting at the mutants. The mutants are like, if we get this back from him, like it's a power struggle.
Yes.
You have the Thunder Tank climbing up the pyramid as mumm-ra, again, should have just flown.
He's looking behind himself, David, like, oh my god, I need to outrun this tank. Meanwhile, what?
Then we get the most interesting part. Oh, so to your point about the pyramid, did you not get like weird alien ship?
Yes, the colors. It was
with all the like the embellishments, all the swirls and stuff. It reminded me of like Alien or something, like an alien.
I mean, which is something that does come up a lot with mumm-ra, and even later on, he does have this technology along with the pyramid. So, I mean, we'll definitely get into that, but very alien, yes. Very alien craft, not of this world.
It's very Stargate.
1000% Stargate. Perfect with the Egyptians, too. But this is amazing because we get this four-sided battle on top of the pyramid, but David, he freaking pushes off the top, the top of the pyramid down on them.
Well, because the Thunder Tank is coming up. Now, how did they not fall out?
And how did that take out the Thunder Tank, honestly? Because we've seen the Thunder Tank take on everything.
Then Lino's like split up, so they're all coming, and then the mutants do get one more good shots off at mumm-ra, and he's shooting at them.
So had that not happened, do you think mumm-ra actually would have been in the advantage, or no? I mean, we knew he was gonna lose anyway.
If he didn't, I just don't understand why he didn't pick it up with two hands and fly into the pyramid, or transport himself.
Exactly, which he did at the end when his power is supposedly the weakest, when he's not even the ever-living form. Right. He literally burnt calories climbing up the mountain, saying, I'm just going to destroy it, and push the top off. I love this shot, though, David, of him, like, you know, shooting this way, that way, and the cats kind of, like, making their way up to hog tie him again, dare I say. Remember when they held him down?
Everybody out and split up.
He's mine! ThunderCats!
So there's parts where he's gaining some traction, but then there's a part where Panthro shoots things out of his nunchucks and Chitara shoots something out of her staff. And then you got Snarf, who all of a sudden is got like super courage, and he trips a bitch.
Hand over that sphere, mumm-ra!
If you want it, you'll have to come and get it, ThunderCat.
Yeah, no, let me at him.
Like Mitesh says, Uncle Osbert decides to tail him. He's like, this
Uncle Osbert runs up and is like, I'm going to trip this mummy.
He literally trips him, and that is what takes...
He says, let me at him. Doesn't he say, let me at him?
This would have worked, honestly, as a great season finale. Had mumm-ra exploded with the ball somehow, that might have been a good way to take him out for a little while. But yes, just to sum up leading up to this point, the mutants realize they have been double-crossed, give pursuit. The ThunderCats, realizing that Third Earth is in great danger, follows. Mumm-ra fights all of them as he scales the face of the pyramid. He is toppled from the pyramid in a hail of ThunderCats firepower and defeated when Panthro thrusts the sphere in Mumm-ra's face. And David, he goes, take it! Like, you want this? Take it!
You want it, mummy, take it, it's yours.
I'll take that, ThunderCat!
You want it, mummy? Take it. Take it! It's yours!
No! No! Oh! No! Oh!
Way to go, Panthro! Come on, let's get down to the tank.
Next time, ThunderCat. Next time.
Yeah, we've heard that one before, mummy.
Pretty neat catch, Panthro. You got any more tricks for us?
No, just get me out of here so we can get rid of this thing.
Thunder, 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 ThunderCats!
Panthro got great joy out of this moment because he's never the one. He throws into Mumm-ra's face. Mumm-ra sees his reflection there and flies into the safety of the crypt. The ThunderCats explode the deadly spear deep in outer space. Third Earth is safe. Okay, so he kind of melts into the pyramid, like through a portal, but he still takes his time. Like he's inside and just like, next time, ThunderCat.
So he says, Mumm-ra says, next time, ThunderCats, next time. And Panthro says, oh, we've heard that one before.
That was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you. I totally forgot about that.
I have one other thing for you, Ryan. And this is something I was wondering. Why didn't they just go up in the feliner and blow it up in space and not even have to take it down?
Honestly, you're right.
Third Earth.
You're right.
It was going to be blown up in space anyway to quote unquote neutralize it. Like when they said neutralize it, I thought they were going to,
diffuse
I'm
it.
going to throw some baking soda over and it's going to neutralize the pH and it's going to be gone. Like, why didn't you just take the feliner and push it like gently
into space?
Away?
Yeah. Honestly, that would have made the most sense, but you're right.
And why didn't Mumm-ra he went up to Captain
Shiner?
Captain Shiner's ship. I gave him the money. Why didn't he just go get the sphere himself? Like,
you're right.
1, 2, 3. Because there would be no episode.
There would be no episode, but again, why does Mumm-ra do anything? I still want to know why he decided to dramatically climb up this pyramid, unless it's like you said, he just lives for the drama and he's just like, you know what would make a better scene? If I crawl up this pyramid. Like, there was no reason for that. Because by the time he would took to him to climb, he would have flew up there. But, I mean, visually it looked great. I loved what they did with it.
I did totally. I was loving this episode as far as...
Even the space shots looked great. Space looked beautiful.
Fighting on all sides of the pyramid and all of the again, that whole race to the finish. You know, going back to Bram Stoker's Dracula, it was like when they were trying to race him to his castle.
It all goes down at Mumm-ra's tomb.
Yeah.
Well, it actually is. It's almost like you're racing for daylight. You're racing to get to the coffin, the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
So truly, that's a classic vampire thing. And a matter of fact, and I think in the 2011 series, they did make Mumm-ra's weakness sunlight. From what I remember, and we do intend to get to that, ThunderCats fans. See us in a year or two.
That's that. It blew up safely in space.
And harmony is restored to Third Earth.
Harmony? We just made the whole universe shake, rattle, and roll.
So, yeah, no trivia for this episode, David, but I'm giving you one. They've reused not only the starship, but I'm going with Neptune's spear, too. I am saying that
Wasn't there a part when Mumm-ra shoots out from his hand some kind of magical beam that's also from the opening credits, maybe, for a moment on the pyramid?
Oh yes, when he does the hand and the jump back. Yes, it does give you that action. Yes, I know what you're talking about when he has the hand and then he jumps. Oh, that would have been actually something. But we don't have any official trivia. So David, to sum up this episode, really, really, really enjoyed it. And then we have one more thing to take care of course. Besides us bungling the episode ourselves, David, who was your biggest bunglers this week?
Bunglers! You bungler! Once again, you have failed.
You bungled it!
So in the first, the good and ugly, good and plenties.
Good and plenty.
Lion-O and Snarf bungled. Because there would have been a part if they had not done this. He probably would have landed the ship.
And had a nice conversation.
And then he would have said, this guy is after me. And then they could have worked together.
So true.
Ultimately, Snarf's disdain really honestly was the biggest bungle, because I really didn't appreciate it, because he wants respect. You have to give respect to get respect, I feel like. So he was the biggest bungler, but both of them bungled, but ultimately Snarf was, because he kept the mean-spiritedness going. Like, he could have said, oh wow, even though I didn't like the way he looked, he turned out to be a really good person or whatever, and kind of left it at that. And I hope he finds his family, since we know what it's like to be displaced from our planet and annihilated.
Right. Or even say, you always have a place here on Third Earth to come back to, and yeah.
I'll just remove all the mirrors.
You will not get mirrors in your room. They're all located in Chitara's bedroom currently. So yeah, you're right. I want to say the Kymera bungled because he didn't play the game long enough, but I mean, it got us into the episode. He could have totally played this, oh, I'm so innocent, but he decided to start with that and then within a minute change. But I am doubling with David said. Just because we have sexy ThunderCats, you can't be putting down other creatures from space. I'm doubling his bungles with that, because Snarf definitely wanted to keep insulting that creature. The transfer, David? I'm thinking, I love Jackalman's initiative, but he didn't plan this out too well, That was one bungle for me. And then I'm going with Mumm-ra, though. I'm going with Mumm-ra taking his sweet, dramatic time climbing up that pyramid. You want to see me crawl, ThunderCats? You want to me crawl to you? That's what happened. So I'm going Mumm-ra's crawl to the pyramid top.
But it's all about the climb.
Miley, it's all about the climb.
So for me, the biggest bungler was Mumm-ra with the crawling, but So the point that I had made earlier, I wanted to say was, they had said if the mutants could just learn to work together, they would have defeated us.
Yes.
And I do believe that because, let's be honest, if Jackalman had stolen that sphere and ran over to Mumm-ra, and Mumm-ra would have grabbed the sphere and took off, they would never been able to catch him. They didn't even realize it was gone yet.
You're right. That whole plot, they would have just had it, and then they could have. But again, what? They're just going to destroy Third Earth and then live on a barren wasteland with no candy fruit?
No. Mumm-ra's plan was to destroy everything, even the mutants. He wanted to be left alone.
That's crazy. But what I'm saying, what the hell were the mutants going to do with this?
Cassini and Blossom wanted to rule alone, Ryan.
What she gets what she wants, she'll destroy you too, Fiore.
So that was that. Mumm-ra definitely the biggest bungler, because if I had the plan, I would have transported myself, unless he couldn't with the... So Mumm-ra's the biggest bungler.
He crawled up that pyramid, and he crawled up the top of our bungler list this week. Wow, ThunderCats fans, another 2 episodes have gone down on record. We hope that we gave each the attention it deserves. I wish there was more trivia to give you all. If anyone knows of a different website that we could look at or find other notes from, please let us know. We're so excited to continue our ThunderCats journey. We're so happy to see the end of season 1 in sight. And then honestly, I think season 2 will just be so exciting. We'll have so much to talk about. Matter of fact, our first 2 episodes are probably going to be 2 different 5-parters. So we have literally ThunderCats Ho, and then Mumm-ra Lives, which is another 5 episodes right after that. So you'll have 2 gigantic January episodes to look forward to.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Yeah, get ready for that, David. We thought the trials were trying. Wait till 10 episodes. Oh, God. So, ThunderCats fans, you could always reach David at Universal Appeal 2020, all one word, on Instagram, and the Radical Retro Rewind Podcast, one word, on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, all of the places that you look for your podcasts. We can't wait to see you again in another month with 2 more ThunderCats episodes.
Just remember this. Don't judge a book by its cover, and it's better to fly than to crawl.
Please don't crawl up that pyramid, David.
Running up that hill, you're running up that road, running up that pyramid.
We should do a compilation of all the times they're running. Lion-O's running up hills.
Running.
ThunderCats fans are beautiful bunglers, as always. ThunderCats, ho.
Who you calling a hoe?
You want it, mummy? Take it.